All right, so like Paula said, those A, B, C, and D are actually questions 3, 4, 5, and 6. They're 4 points each. Depending on the multiplier, I think I went back, and that's a multiplier from a little bit earlier. It's actually the 1.7-ish. So once again, about 50% of the total, or 25% of that 120 total composite points. The bottom line is using that knowledge. Okay, what do they need to know? Yes, science, process of science, process of science. And obviously they're going to have to be able to make those connections between the models or the data analysis to what they learned. So good biology. Students may want to read through the questions and start by answering the ones they know. I joke with my kids. I said, answer the easiest one. Say, I kicked your butt. Get confidence, take a deep breath, and then go on to the next one. They're kids. It's get them believing, coach them up.
That's right. That's a good point, Jim, because remember, the students are a point earned on an easy question is the same as a point earned on what they would consider a more difficult question. So if they can identify the dependent variable, that earns the same number of points as being able to do something that maybe they would have to write a lot more for, or maybe would struggle with.
Right. Thanks, Paula. Okay, so the second part is, we'll go a little bit quicker on, is what do we do? And there's really two statements that I think kind of summarize my approach. Is number one, the students have to want to do well. We can make them come to review sessions. We can make them listen to us, but they have to be actively involved. So motivate them and have them, if they're doing, they're progressing. If you're doing, we all know the percentage of the effectiveness decreases. So my first approach is provide as many practice tests as possible. We're going to talk about what's available through AP Classroom. But that's, students ask, do I need a resource book? And I say, well, it's, if nothing else, that's another couple practice tests and another resource for you that you're doing. So it could be beneficial. Other students wouldn't use it or benefit it as much. So I don't make it as mandatory. So answering as many AP style questions as review will expose gaps. So that's, if they take a lot of practice questions, they're getting experience of looking at the type of questions that we said. The practice exams that we're going to share with you from AP Classroom are written based on what we've already described as the focus of questions 1 through 6. So they get that experience, but they also find out, I don't know how to graph an error bar, or I don't know very much about photosynthesis. And so now they have a focus for them to go fill their gaps or their misunderstandings. So, some type of routine. I know I give a practice exam a week that we work on, and I give a full length practice test during school. I take 3 days to do it. We have FRQ Fridays, which they'll, over the weekend, they'll answer one. And then when they come in on Monday, sometimes I collect it and grade it, but usually I provide them with a rubric and we go through it and talk about how those would be graded. Being very brutally honest, because when in Kansas City, people are going to be fair, and, and not say, oh, they knew this. No, you either get the point or you don't. And I take advantage. Paula's going to talk about the Chief Reader Report a few slides from now. But there's a lot of good information that, hey, on this particular FRQ, these are the misconceptions. And so let's fill those. Let's make sure you don't have them, because I'm telling you, if in that report, it says students had this misunderstanding, that means like 100,000 of them probably had that, which means your students probably do too. And so I got humbled very quickly, and it helped my students because I just assumed they had that, and there's no doubt in my mind by using the Chief Reader Report, I've helped them.
One last thing on this screen, something that really is helpful for the students that you could implement from day one. You could start this at the beginning of the year when the students are answering FRQs. Make sure that you, as a teacher, don't feel obligated to grade everyone yourself. That can be overwhelming. It is a very good learning tool for the students to take a highlighter or a pencil or whatever, and either for their own paper or for a partner's paper to highlight or underline exactly where the point is earned. The reason that's helpful is because a lot of times, again, students will ramble. Once they've earned the point, once the highlight is on there, once the underline is on there, that's it. That's what they needed to include. So if the question is asking the students to identify something, they identify it and then go on to describe it. The description is unnecessary. So underlining or highlighting exactly where the point is earned will help the students develop good skills in, concise writing and focusing on what is being asked in the question. So the College Board has provided resources that are very helpful for you and the students to be able to prepare for the exam. They have 3 full-length practice tests in AP Classroom, and I'll show you where you can find those. And they have several sets of video review sessions that are available on YouTube for your students anytime, anywhere. And I'll show you where you can find those as well.
I will add, go ahead and go to the next slide, but I will add that those full-length practice tests are the same ones and are also available in the audit site under resources. If you print those out, those are, the format is much more convenient than through AP Classroom.
Right, thank you. I'm gonna escape from full screen here and show you where to find the full-length practice exams. There's a couple of places that you can find them if your students have access, and they should, to AP Classroom. This is where you can find them. Ooh, sorry. Well, this is where you can find them. Here, I've already logged in to AP Classroom, but over here where it says course resources, practice exams is one of the links for you as a teacher. If you click on practice exams, you can see the 3 practice exams. So if you click on one of those, you can either assign only the multiple choice, you can assign only the FRQs, or you could assign them both. And there are 3 different versions. And this is what Jim is talking about. At least one of these practice exams, full-length practice exams, I give to my students in the classroom so that they are timed. I don't want the first time that they're feeling pressure to look at the clock and make sure that they're getting their timing right. I don't want the first time that they're doing that to be on the actual AP exam. So I would choose at least one of these to give them in the classroom as a full-length, practice exam.
Exactly.
Those. Some other things that are available from the College Board that your students can use for review are AP Daily live reviews. This year, in 2022, those are going to be for biology. Those are going to be from 5 p.m. to 5:45 p.m. daily from Monday through Thursday, April 18th to 21st and April 25th to 28th. Students can join live. This link is not hidden. It's available in AP Classroom under the review tab. And you can give the students the link, or they can just search it on YouTube. You can kind of see a little image of what that's going to look like over here. But I also have it pulled up, if you don't mind me escaping the full screen here.
And Paula, they can get them if they aren't available during that time, they can get them archived, right?
They are. Yep, they can get them archived. So here's what that looks like. If you go on there right now, if you go to that link right now, this is what it looks like. So this is AP Daily live review. All of the AP courses are going to have a review on here, and the 5 to 5:45 p.m. time slot is when biology is going to happen. Another thing that the College Board has that the students and you have access to are additional video reviews. There's 8 video reviews that highlight some really key content. These video reviews are available right now. These are 40 to 60-minute review sessions, and they cover the topics that you can see here. I can escape and show you what those look like as well. Oops. Or can I? Yes, I can. Third time's a charm. Those are right here. There's a whole YouTube channel from the College Board, and these are available right now. The students can go in. So if you have a student who is saying, hey, after that practice exam, I realize I really need to focus my review on ecology and the biological mechanisms involved in growth, then they can, click on that, and it's a 51-minute video. And there's sample questions within these videos that the students will see.
That's what my students last year liked the most was, yes, they're getting some content, but there's a genuine AP question in there that they then can answer, pause it, answer it, and then go over the rubric right there. And that they found that to be beneficial.
That's right. And they have control over that video time-wise, so they can fast forward to that. If they missed something, they went to get a drink and they missed something that they thought was pertinent, they can back it up. So those are really helpful as well. And the students can do those at home. You don't have to take class time to review using these particular videos.
Okay, I think we've talked about this already. I think we have it up here again to remind you that only 7% of the nation get 5s. And so it's so easy to be like, oh, we need to get 5s. In reality, every one of us have a different set of students that had started at a different starting line. And our job was to move them, develop their science skills, share our passion of biology the best we could, and prepare them as best they can to take this exam. But it's one exam, and 7%, frankly, is a ridiculously low number. So please don't judge yourself or judge, the students just will do their best they can. But that 7% is a tough number to get. It's one of the lowest number of 5s in any of the AP courses. So keep that in perspective.
And the students don't have to get a 5 to pass.
Correct.
So the next thing that's available from the College Board every single year is a chief reader report on student responses. And in just a second, I'll leave the screen and I want to open up the report so that you can see what's available on there. But we will look at the report. Obviously indicates what the question was, what was the question that the students were being asked, but it also shows the mean score for that question, common misconceptions, and we want to look at an example. Advice to teachers, which I think is important. Advice to teachers is, hey, here's some common misconceptions. How can we make sure that students are not continuing to make these kinds of mistakes? And then there's some recommended resources on there. Jim, before we leave this screen, did you want to talk about the screenshot?
The only thing that jumped to my mind is that can be motivating also to, when the kids look at the global mean, it's like, really, I only need to get 3 and I'm above the mean, which is getting, around 3s already. Just anything that you feel will give your kids confidence will help them. Go ahead, you can go. People are probably getting tired of us talking now, so show them what the value. This is a very valuable and I feel like underused tool that Paul's about to talk to you about.
That's right. The Chief Reader Report is released well after the students take the exam. This is after all the exams have been scored. Students have received their scores, and then this Chief Reader Report is released to the public. It's on. You can link to it through AP Classroom, but you can also link to it just from the College Board's website. And it does give some key pieces of information. At the very beginning, it goes over how many students were scored, how many readers there were scoring that scoring those. And then you can see the global mean, which is what we saw on the other screen. But then it gives commentary from the chief reader. So for example, from question 1, it talks about what was the task. Here's the science practice skill that the students were being asked to demonstrate. What was the topic? The maximum number of points was 10, and the mean score that was earned by the number of students that you saw on the previous screen was 3.68. And so underneath that, what were the responses to the question expected to demonstrate? So what were we expecting the students, or what was the College Board expecting the students to be able to demonstrate? How well did the responses address the course content related to the question, and how well the responses integrated the skills? In this part, you can see it's divided into different sections. So membranes and transport, experimental design, etc. And the chief reader here is describing basically how well globally the students were able to address that. If we scroll all the way down, this is one of my favorite parts. And I think, Jim,
Yes.
one of your favorite parts too. These are common misconceptions that demonstrate gaps in students' knowledge. So for example, I'm not going to read to you the whole thing, but you could kind of see here a common misconception or knowledge gap includes sodium ions and potassium ions are too large to get through the pores in the membrane. The response that would demonstrate understanding that we were hoping to get from the students was, since sodium and potassium ions have an electric charge, they must enter the cell through transport proteins. They can't diffuse through the membrane. So you can kind of get an idea of like, what are students saying versus what were we expecting them to say, or what we were hoping they would say.
This is a valuable tool all year long.
It is.
So maybe put that on your agenda for next year to try to use some of these throughout the year, and it helps guide your teaching also.
That's exactly right. Underneath that is advice to teachers. So I love this section. For example, you can see membranes and transport. Some advice includes, hey, have students interact with the fluid mosaic model and its role in transporting substances, and connect cell transport once the students learn it across all topics and units. So try to bring it up, not just where you teach it the first time, but whenever it's applicable after that, so that students don't forget. So this is all available in the Chief Reader Report. They come out every year.
So 2 things, Paul, if you could go to the biology exam page.
Yes.
Where that is, and I'll offer those suggestions. 500 teachers who are dedicated enough to go to the reading, as they're reading the questions, are giving the chief reader what they're seeing on these exams. So that advice, those misconceptions are coming from teachers that I call all in. And so those are valuable, valuable pieces of advice. If you could scroll down, remember I said, give your kids as many tests as possible. And you can see right there where you can find the Chief Reader Report for 2021. You can see the free response questions, scoring guidelines, and then a lot of student sample responses, but also right below it, past exam questions. You could click on that, Paula. Those questions there, you can go through there's 2021 again, 2020, 2020, I think was the weird one, but so for any of those years, you can
these
get
are
all
available. Sorry, these are available on AP Classroom if you want to see those questions. They're in there.
Right, and that's the third thing. So a lot of material is there the kids can do on their own. You don't have to assign them, grade them. All that information is there and is public. And if they do have gaps, if you find out, whoa, we're really struggling in this topic, you can go to AP Classroom and make more quizzes and just put that out to them electronically or even individually for students. I've had a student come, can you get me more practice on cell communication? And I'll put a 10-question quiz together. and put it out to everybody. But even if one student does it, it's quick for me to do and valuable to them. So
I think it's
all right.
also important for students to see sample responses, not for every, not for everything, but at the beginning of the year, maybe again in the middle of the year, and again at the end of the year, to look at how other students have responded to those questions. Here's what a student response who earned, all of the points looks like. Here's what it looks like if they earned half of the points, et cetera.
All right. Let's go back to the slides and wrap this thing up. Sure, people are tired of hearing our voices there, but generally, good luck to you and your students. I always say, do your best, go home, go to bed, get up and do your best again the next day, and likewise for the year. And that's all we can do is do our best. And I'm a much better teacher this year than I was 35 years ago. So just don't be hard on yourself, keep encouraging your kids. But if you have any questions, there are our names and our email accounts, and don't be concerned if I don't get back to you, if we don't get back to you immediately, but we're here to help.
That's right. Thanks for sticking with us.
All right. Good luck to you.